What's going on, guys? This is Vince with vshred.com, and in today's video I'm continuing the Q&A series that I've been doing, answering the questions that you guys comment on my videos. I named the video about how often you should change up your training split, but I'm also going to be answering a couple of other questions that will probably help you out as well. So let's roll that intro. Like I said, in today's video, I'm going to be continuing the Q&A series, answering the questions that you guys have asked me. If you guys have questions that you want me to answer that I have not answered yet, leave them down in the comment section and let me know. And make sure you're subscribing. That way you get notified when I post another Q&A video and maybe I'm answering your question. Today, I'm going to be getting into best piece of advice for beginners. What's the point? Should you be working out your abs if you have a bunch of belly fat? If you only train upper body, will you lose lower body muscle? And also, how often should you change up your lifting split? Now, after I answer all those questions, once you have all the answers for those, you could still fail to get in shape. The first thing you gotta do is make sure that you are hitting the right kind of macros, just following the right kind of diet for your body, and then doing the right kind of training depending on what your fitness goal is. We have a free fitness quiz that tells you exactly what you need to be doing depending on what your goal is. So you answer what your goal is in the quiz and it spits out a video at the end telling you what to do to achieve that goal. So if you want to check that out, if you want advice on how to get in shape, click the link below. It's right down in the description. Take the quiz, watch the video at the end, and that's it. But now I'm gonna be playing a little bit of ping pong and I'm gonna be answering these questions for you guys. So let's do it. All right, so starting off with the first question. What is the best piece of advice for beginners? Now, this question could go a bunch of different ways. Ooh, dang it. All right, one you. This question could go a lot of different ways because I could say, well, you need to figure out your diet. I could say, well, you got to make sure you're training right. I could say, well, you got to know your body type and you got to know what your goal is and you got to find a plan that matches your goal. Otherwise, you could be hurting yourself from the beginning. But my favorite piece, I thought about this question for a little bit, and I think my favorite piece of advice that I could give to any beginner out there who's just getting into working out is find a routine that works for you. So you obviously know that you're gonna be eating healthy. You obviously know that you're gonna be working out, whether that is at the gym or at home, but that doesn't matter if, grab another ball. That doesn't matter if you're not going to actually do it. So you could have the perfect diet, you could have the perfect training routine, but if you haven't figured out a way for it to match with your schedule throughout the day, like for instance, if you go to work, if you have a desk job and you work a 9 to 5 and you go and you sell insurance, let's say, if you don't have a pre-planned schedule where you're like, oh, well, I know that I wake up early and I go and I work out before I go to work. That's great. Or you could say, oh, well, I go to work and then I work out after work, or I work out really late at night. That's all great. But if you don't have that and you're just telling yourself, oh, well, I'm supposed to work out today, I'll hopefully get to the gym sometime today, it's probably not gonna happen. The same thing with your diet. If you're like, well, I do need to start eating healthy because I do know that diet is 80% of getting the body of your dreams. But if you don't have it set in your mind where you're like, well, every Sunday I know I meal prep. And I meal prep this many meals out so that throughout the week, I have 3 meals every single day that I have pre-prepped. And so maybe you'll cook up your own breakfast every single day. Maybe you'll, I don't know, have dinner with your family at night, but then let's say 3 meals in between those 2 meals, you have these prepped meals. And so by having this routine where you're like, oh, okay, and then even farther than that, you go, that wasn't a point, I hit the net. Even farther than that, you go, oh, okay, well, these 5 meals, let's say you have every single day, what times do you eat them at? Because if you're like, well, I'm supposed to eat 5 meals a day, but I don't know what time I'm gonna eat them, you're also going to fail. So you have to have a routine set in place. You have to know what works, and that means finding out what works best for you. Not saying, I'm going to work out in the morning every single morning, because if you hate working out in the morning, don't work out in the morning. Work out at night. Find out what you enjoy, what works best with your schedule, when you have the best energy, what you enjoy, and then do that. And then once you have that plan and set in stone, just simply stick to it. And then you can figure out about finding the training that's right for you, finding the diet that's right for you, and then just simply sticking to it consistently. So find a plan that works for you. All right, next question. Is there a point to ab exercises if you got a ton of belly fat? And this probably resonates with a lot of people because truth is, belly fat is really easy to attain. If you're not working out and you're not dieting, you're probably gonna get a little bit of a gut. And so you might be left with the decision of, well, should I even bother working out my abs if I got a bunch of belly fat on my belly? And truth is, it comes down to what your goals are, because truth is, if you're doing like some kind of training plan where you're doing squats and you're doing deadlifts and you're doing all these different exercises that do work your core, you probably don't need to take the time out of your already busy schedule or your already long workout and do 20 minutes of abs, because no, you're not really going to be able to get your abs shredded up like you want with a bunch of fat covering them. But ab strength, core strength is super important no matter what your fitness goal is, because the more core strength that you have, the more you're going to be able to lift, the healthier you're going to be, because also if you have a very weak core, you're probably gonna have back pain as well. Nobody likes back pain. If you're sitting at a desk all day, it's very good to have core strength just so that you're not hurting all the time. And so you're basically helping out your back from slouching or whatever it might be, because you're used to stabilizing yourself with your core muscles. So should you take the time to do ab exercises if you have a lot of belly fat? I think you should definitely always train your core, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to do ab exercises. That could mean that you're doing other compound lifts that are going to work your core. But if you're not doing any kind of lifts that work your core, throwing in some ab exercises is definitely not gonna hurt to help you build core strength, because core strength is very important to have no matter what your goal is, no matter what shape you're in. So yes, make sure you're working your abs. All right, next question. If you only train upper body, will you lose lower body muscle? And this question is a pretty straightforward one, because if you didn't work out your upper body or your lower body, would you lose muscle? Well, yes, slowly you would lose muscle, because unless you're working it. Let's say you got a very active job, or you're a construction worker and you're lifting things all day and you are using your muscle. But if you're just going and sitting at a computer and you used to lift a bunch and now you're not, well, yeah, you're gonna lose muscle. You're gonna lose a lot of muscle volume first, which is going to make you look a lot smaller, but you also are going to be losing muscle, especially if your diet's not in place. If you're not eating enough protein to feed that muscle, then yes, you're gonna lose muscle. So if you're training your upper body and you're not training your lower body is going to lose strength. Your lower body is not going to be being worked like it needs to be able to even just maintain your muscle. Granted, you can have your diet perfectly and it's going to help you retain as much muscle as long as possible. I have the ball. But I definitely think everybody should be working their lower body. For the first probably 2-3 years of training, back when I was like 16 years old, I was just a skinny little kid, and I was like, I'm not wasting time with legs because I want my upper body big. And I'm paying for it, because now I have to make up for that, because I didn't train legs when I was a teenager. And so now I have to train legs extra hard, and yeah. And so now I tell when anybody asks about leg days or lower body training, I say, just do it. It sucks, but it's so important. And the legs are such a big muscle they're the largest muscle group on your body, that it's gonna do nothing but benefit you. And what you'll find is that if you are trying to build your upper body, training your legs is actually going to help you build your upper body, because of the hormones that get secreted from hitting such a large muscle group like your legs. So your legs will probably lose a little bit of muscle if you're not training them at all. That's just the name of the game, because if you didn't train any muscle at all, you'd probably lose a little bit of muscle, unless your diet is like the most perfect diet ever. So yeah, make sure you're training your legs. All right, fourth and final question, and this is what the title is named after. How often should you change up your training split? Now, this one, I mean, there's no real set answer here, because I can't just go, oh, you need to be changing it every 43 days, because that's not true. Because I mean, the main thing is gonna be, well, I mean, yes, there's a certain time frame where it's like, okay, you've been doing this for too long, because let's say you're working out 4, 5, 6 days a week consistently for 6 weeks. Well, you've given your body a chance to not only get used to the exercises that you're doing so that you're not getting as sore anymore, and you're giving them a chance to build muscle and build strength in those areas. So now your body has adapted, because your body adapts to what you're doing. It's just human nature. So as your body adapts to it, you want to continue to change things up so that you continue to put your body under a level of stress that it's not used to. The term would be progressive overload. You always want to overload your body in a different way, whether that means new exercises, new weights, new rest times, new rep ranges, whatever it might be. Just always helping your body, or always avoiding your body from adapting to what you're doing. So personally, I like changing my training up. No more, I won't follow a training plan for longer than 6 weeks, because I've found that if I'm hitting it consistently and I'm hitting it hard, after 6 weeks, I don't really get the results like I get in the first couple weeks that I would be following that training plan. So let's say I created this new split for myself that I'm gonna be following. I'm gonna be following new exercises of a push-pull legs routine, because I've been really liking push-pull leg routines lately. Well, okay, the first couple weeks I get sore, or the first week especially, I get really sore. Well, the second week I'm not gonna get as sore, but I'm finding that I'm getting a little stronger. Third and fourth week, I'm getting a little bit stronger each time. I'm creating a better mind-muscle connection each time. And then as week 5, week 6 come on, well, now I've been going long enough to where I'm a bit stronger in those areas, and I'm maybe putting on a little bit of muscle in those areas. And now I'm kind of hitting this little wall where I look the same. I'm not really getting, I guess, a whole lot stronger like I was, say, a couple weeks ago. And so therefore I change it up a little bit. And that doesn't mean that you always have to change A to Z the exercises that you're doing, but changing a couple out here, changing the order, changing the weights, rep ranges, rest times, changing something every 4 to 6 weeks, I've found has always gotten the best results for me and our clients. So hopefully that helps you guys. If you guys have any other questions that you want me to answer in a Q&A just like this, leave it down in the comment section, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you know when I'm posting a Q&A video, and maybe it's your question that I'm answering. So hope you enjoyed it.